Unit 2, Lesson 3. Our guiding questions throughout this unit are: how does a person's perspective influence their opinion? And why should we respect the opinions of others? Let's take a closer look at that first question. How does a person's perspective influence their opinion? The word perspective means a person's viewpoint based on who they are, what they do, and where they live. The word influence means the power to sway or change something in one direction or another. So how does a person's viewpoint, or who they are, influence or change what they think about something? That's what that first question is asking, and we're going to look at it in the context of the American Revolution, whether or not people were patriots or loyalists. The second guiding question is: why should we respect the opinions of others? Respect, of course, means to admire, understand, and treat well. So in the context of this story, there are people that have different perspectives or different opinions about the Revolutionary War. The question is, why should we respect the opinions of others? So in the story, we'll see characters and we'll wonder, are they respecting the opinions of others or are they not? And why should we? Learning targets. I can find the meanings of unfamiliar words to help me better understand an excerpt from the Declaration of Independence. I can make inferences about the Declaration of Independence using evidence from the text. Declaration of Independence. What the Declaration says. The Declaration of Independence is divided into 4 parts. The first part is an introduction. It states why the Continental Congress drew up the Declaration. The second section is a Declaration of Rights. The most famous lines were the opening sentences. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they have certain unalienable rights, or rights they can never give up, to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This section also said that governments are formed to secure these rights. Therefore, if a government acts without consent of the governed, as Parliament did, the people have a right to disobey that government and set up a new one. The third section charges King George III with violations of American rights. He was accused of trying to establish an absolute tyranny over the colonies. He had approved laws punishing the colonists for trying to protect their rights, and he then made war against them. These charges were more than an attack on the king. They were also an attack on the idea that Americans should ever be ruled by kings. Americans deserved a different kind of government. That government would not rely on the orders of a distant king. It would rely only on the consent of the people. The fourth part of the Declaration explained what Congress was now going to do. American efforts to resolve their differences with Britain peacefully had failed. War had begun. Therefore, the Declaration concluded, these united colonies are, and of right ought to be, free and independent states. One of the most quoted phrases of the Declaration of Independence is the one that says, all men are created equal. Thomas Jefferson wrote these words. When he wrote them, he meant that white American people had the same rights to liberty and self-government as the British people. He was not referring to the 500,000 slaves in the colonies. Jefferson himself owned many slaves. So did other members of the Congress, especially those from the South. Still, the phrase, all men are created equal, has come to mean all people. Declaration of Independence, Close Reading Note Catcher, Lesson 3. Focus question. What does this excerpt from the Declaration of Independence mean? Wherever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, It is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute new government. Read the line from the excerpt below and then answer the questions to the right. Whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, use the glossary to find the meanings of the following words: government and destructive, and then write what this line means in your own words. Fill in these yellow spaces if you have not already done so in class. Read the line from the excerpt below, then answer the questions to the right. It is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it. What group of people were the writers talking about? Use the glossary to find the meanings of the following words: alter and abolish. Finally, the last question in this section. The excerpt says to alter or to abolish it. What does it refer to? Write what this line means in your own words. Read the line from the excerpt below, then answer the question to the right. And to institute new government. What is a synonym for institute? Which group wants to institute a new government? How do you know? Finally, write what this line means in your own words. Whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute new government. Write what this excerpt from the Declaration of Independence means in your own words. I can make inferences about characters in divided loyalties using evidence from the text. In your opinion, what would the characters in divided loyalties think of this line? Would they agree with the ideas in this excerpt? Why or why not? Whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute new government. Robert Barton. His opinion is that he would disagree with this excerpt. I think this would be his opinion because he supports the king. I know this because he says things like blank and blank. In these two spaces, you're going to find things that he has said in the play to help you understand that he supports the king and is a loyalist. William Barton, his opinion is that he would agree with this excerpt. I think this would be his opinion because he supports the Patriots. I know this because he says things like blank and blank. To fill in these blanks, you would go back to the text and find things that William Barton has said to show his support of the Patriot cause. In your opinion, what would the characters in divided loyalties think of this line? Would they agree with the ideas in this excerpt? Why or why not? Whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute new government. Mrs. Smith. She would agree with this excerpt. She supports the Patriot cause. I know this because she says things like blank and blank. You go back to the text where you see Mrs. Smith in the Barton store and write down things that you know she said that show she supports the Patriot cause. Mr. Lawson. He would disagree with this excerpt. He supports the king. I know this because he said things like blank, and you would go back to the text where Mr. Lawson was in the Barton store, and you would find evidence to support this idea that he supports the king. I can prepare for a discussion about divided loyalties by using evidence from the text. In this space provided, record any other notes or ideas or questions that you have in preparation for your literary discussion.